Hey there, Stephan Külgen here again. Sure hope you're all doing well, despite the gloomy weather I see while looking outside just right now. But again, autumn gives us a little more time for our hobbies, right? Before I get started, just a quick note in advance about our October releases. We have again had some logistical hiccups due to, how do you say, world politics, I guess you'd say, causing a major delay of one of our model shipments. Therefore, we did not really have that many new Wings models in stores in October, but that means we will have a bunch more new items for you to choose from now in November. Now, let's look a little further forward at what we have for you to start out the new year, shall we? Let's get started with 1 to 500. In addition to some particularly big ones, such as the KLM Cargo 747 or the Emirates A380 in the special Wimbledon colors, we also have a few more single-aisle aircraft for you this time around. It's now officially history. The 757 at Condor is now a thing of the past. After 35 years, there are no longer any Boeing 757s, whether Dash 200s or longer Dash 300s, in the fleet. And for us too, this chapter is coming to an end. Well, almost. At least as far as 757s with stripes are concerned. As the fourth and final color, we are now offering you the Dash 300 in passion red. We are also offering you a little rarity in the form of the Crossair ERJ 170. Well, it did exist, but only with a Brazilian registration. Crossair was the original launch customer for the E170. After they placed their official firm order, I think for a total of 30 aircraft, Embraer painted its second prototype in the colors of its future major customer. In addition to several 170s, the larger E190 was also ordered. However, things did turn out a little bit differently than planned. Swissair went bankrupt, and Crossair stepped in as the future new national airline. It was renamed Swiss International Airlines and no longer needed the new regional jets. Instead, Poland's LOT became the first customer. By a little coincidence, we also have a new edition of a Polish ERJ 170 in this package for you, by the way. And some time back, I did mention that we were working on more models from Latin America. How about some new LATAM models? A total of 5. That's something that we could offer, each with different tail colors. Well, to increase local pride and surely also increase acceptance in the different South American countries that it serves, LATAM decided to create variations of its standard color scheme, adapting the national colors of Brazil, of Chile, of Colombia, of Peru, and Ecuador to its tail design. We're starting out with an A319 from the airline's Ecuador division, and are in parallel offering an A320 with Chilean registration and tail colors. Together with TAM from Brazil, Chile's LAN Airlines, or LAN Chile as it was initially called, was the founding member of today's LATAM group. Well, smaller aircraft often literally stand in the shadow of the large wide bodies and flagships. And before that happens again here due to a very big topic, I would like to explicitly mention that after a long delay, we will finally be releasing the A319 in the colors, in the current Lufthansa colors. So that is one big major gap we can now close. But now we really have to move on to a really big topic. I'm sure you've all heard that Lufthansa will be celebrating its 100th anniversary next year. And of course, we are also offering this really eye-catching anniversary design as a model. In fact, the crane is actually older than 100 years. It was designed already back in 1918, and it took off for the first time in 1919, 1 year later, on Germany's first ever commercial passenger flight from Berlin to Weimar, a distance of mere 300 kilometers. Back then, a huge distance. At the time, the crane was used by the airline Deutsche Luftreederei, the name literally meaning German Air Shipping Company. But that's actually just a side note. In 1926, two German airlines, Deutsche Aerollloyd and the aircraft manufacturer Junkers' very own factory-owned airline, Junkers Luftverkehr, merged to form Deutsche Lufthansa. A lot has happened in the last 100 years, as we all know from history books, but especially in aviation. Today, an oversized crane adorns this 787 Dreamliner. With the crane positioned over the center of the fuselage, it does almost look like as if the wings of the 787 are an extension of the crane's wings. We are offering this truly special 787 in the 1 to 500 scale, of course, in 1 to 200, and also as a snap-fit model, also in the 1 to 200 scale. Moving on to the 1 to 200 scale, we also here have some more anniversaries for you. In 1946, Air France received its first four-engine Douglas DC-4, with which it established the Paris-New York route, although needing two refueling stopovers in Ireland and Canada. A new edition of the DC-4 is now released just in time for that 80th anniversary. This 200 scale model features the livery introduced a little later in 1950. The main difference was the change from a completely natural metal finish to a design with a white painted upper fuselage. The reason for the change? Marketing. The Air France lettering and logo were simply more quickly and clearly recognizable on the white background. Brands and their visibility were slowly becoming important in aviation. To commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Dash 7's first flight back in 1975, we are releasing two of the unmistakable four-engine STOL aircraft in the 200 scale. One, in the colors of the Canadian Armed Forces. They operated two aircraft as cargo and liaison aircraft on the Canadian Forces base here in Germany in the Black Forest region. They were painted back then with a classic red lightning cheat line on the fuselage, which was typical for Canadian transports at the time. And the other model, is in the livery of Air Tindi, the largest remaining operator of the type, which is still putting it to good use in the harsh environment of the Northern Territories, where it continues to prove itself as a really rugged and reliable transport. Also in 1975, the Soviet Union presented this Tu-144 to the public at the Le Bourget Air Show near Paris. For the exhibition, the identification number, the registration number, was changed from 77104 to the more appropriate number 77144. And next year marks the 70th anniversary, so it's one more anniversary for you, of the commissioning of the more than impressive Tupolev Tu-95 Bear. Our model shows a modernized version of the Tu-95 MS series, which brought a further boost in performance when introduced in the early 1980s. The engines now delivered 15,000 horsepower each, giving the bomber a higher bomb load and a range of up to 15,000 kilometers. So, well, last but definitely not least, we have a new club model for you. Officially delivered at the end of 2020, La Belle Azur was immediately following the handover parked at an airport in southern France at Tarbes-Lourdes-Pyrénées Airport, to be exact, for the next 2 years due to the halt of most passenger flights during the COVID-19 pandemic. She was put into service 2 years later, December 1st, 2022, and since has been operating flights from Brazil to overseas destinations in the US, Portugal, and France. Instead of the usual blue titles and belly, this A330neo sports the bright pink color in support of the worldwide campaign for breast cancer awareness. This special A330neo is available now in November through the Herpa online store at herpa.de. Okay, well, one more really final last thing for today. Contrary to our usual schedule, we won't be doing a live chat now in November. Instead, we're planning something new for December. So together with my colleague Stephan Blank from the Cars and Trucks division, we'll be chatting with you on 2 days this time around. On one date on Instagram, and then again on another date on Facebook. That way, we'll be able to reach as many of you as possible. Some of you may not be necessarily on Instagram, but you may be on Facebook and vice versa. Let's just give it a try. We will announce the exact date in good time. So for now, thank you again for your interest, and until next time, take care. Yours truly, Stephan Külgen.